Ken was a writer, a man whose world revolved around his words. He could spend hours lost behind his laptop, pouring feelings into stories for people he had never met. But the one person who needed those words the most, Uwizie, his girlfriend, was slowly drowning in his silence. She loved him deeply, but love, she was learning, wasn't enough when you felt invisible. One weekend, Uwizie decided to surprise Ken. She wanted to spend time with him, talk, laugh, just be together. But when she arrived, he barely looked up from his work. His fingers danced on the keyboard, while hers clenched on her lap, waiting. She whispered softly, almost pleading, that she had come to spend the weekend with him, not to watch him work. He smiled gently, promising her a few more minutes. But those minutes became hours, and those hours turned into another lonely night. When he finally came to her, she hoped he would listen, but instead he fell asleep in her arms, leaving her staring into the dark room, whispering to herself like a woman in love with a ghost. She had come with good news to share, something beautiful that she had achieved, something she thought would make him proud. But Ken had no time to listen. He rushed to work again, promising to talk later. When her friend Nancy called to ask how Ken reacted, Uwizie lied. She said he was happy for her, even though he didn't know what she was talking about. That night, Ken found her cooking. He walked up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, and told her how much he loved her. His words were soft, sweet, warm, and she believed them because she wanted to. He told her she was his piece, his everything, that her food tasted like love itself. For a moment, she smiled and forgot the emptiness. Ken tried to make it up to her. He showed up at her office to apologize, saying he wanted to do better, that she deserved more than what he had been giving her. He planned a date night, a chance to make things right. Uwizie dressed beautifully that night. When Ken saw her, his heart skipped. He told her she was breathtaking, that he could stare at her all night. She smiled shyly, hoping this was the start of something new. At the restaurant, everything felt perfect, until his phone rang. Once, twice, again and again. Each ring pulled him away from her. Each call built a wall she couldn't climb. He kept stepping outside to answer, leaving her alone. At one point, a stranger named Prince walked by. He smiled politely and asked if he could join her, seeing she was alone. She refused. Her heart already belonged to someone, even if that someone wasn't really there. When Ken returned, he was angry from the calls, frustrated, distracted. All he talked about was work. Uwizie's smile faded into silence. When they finally left, she told him she just wanted to go home. The next morning, jogging with her friend Nancy, she opened up. She said Ken was a good man, but he didn't understand how a woman feels. He didn't see her sacrifices, didn't hear her heart. Nancy told her she deserved someone who would love her loudly, someone who would notice her without being told to. Days later, Ken surprised her with a happy birthday song, but Uwizie's eyes filled with tears as she whispered that her birthday was yesterday. He froze, and she looked away, saying softly that she knew he loved her. But love without attention hurts more than hate. He apologized, and she forgave him again. At work, Prince appeared once more. He told her he liked her, that he had noticed her for a long time, but Uwizie told him she had a man and wasn't interested. Prince didn't give up. He came back as a client, trying to get closer, but she drew the line. She told him their meetings were only business, that her heart was taken. One day, Ken took Uwizie to meet his mother. She was polite and warm until she asked where Uwizie came from. When she said Umimi village, Ken's mother's face changed. She told her that no one in their family could ever marry from Umimi because every woman from that village who married into their bloodline ended up childless. Ken and Uwizie were shocked. Ken tried to defend her, but his mother refused to listen. Later, Ken went to Uwizie's office, held her hands, and said that he didn't care about myths, that he loved her and would marry her no matter what she believed him. But deep inside, The fear and pain had already planted roots. Soon after, Ken told her he had to travel to Ghana for a conference 12 days. He promised to call every day, but 12 days became silence. No calls, no texts, only gifts arriving at her door, things she didn't need. One morning, her car broke down. As she stood stranded, Prince passed by and stopped to help. He checked the car, called a mechanic, and offered to drop her home. He was kind, patient, easy to talk to. That small kindness turned into conversations, and those conversations turned into comfort. One night, after dinner and too many drinks, Uwizie tried to kiss Prince, but he pulled away. He told her that he didn't want her to feel like he was taking advantage, that he wanted her to trust him first. He said he wanted her, not the moment. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen. When Ken returned, he called her, but she didn't answer. She was confused, torn between the man she loved and the man who made her feel loved. Then one evening, she invited Prince over. They talked, they laughed, and in the heat of the moment, they kissed. Just then, the door opened. Ken stood there, frozen, watching them. Uwizie turned, her heart breaking. There were no words to fix what he had seen. Ken walked away in silence, and everything fell apart. Later, Ken went to Prince to confront him, warning him to stay away. Prince laughed bitterly, saying this was revenge. He asked if Ken remembered Maria, his girlfriend in college. Prince said that Ken had stolen Maria from him, that she died because of him. Ken was stunned, saying Maria was never his girlfriend, that she was only a friend. But Prince didn't listen. What they didn't know was that Uwizie was standing by the door, listening, hearing everything. Her heart shattered. Both men she had trusted had broken her in different ways. She walked away, tired, empty, done. Ken tried to call her, but she didn't answer. Days passed. Then one afternoon, Uwizie showed up at his door. Ken dropped to his knees, begging for forgiveness. He told her he was a fool, that he loved her deeply, and that he would spend the rest of his life proving it. Uwizie forgave him, her heart still soft, still fragile. Then Prince showed up. He looked defeated, remorseful. He said he had learned the truth. Maria's death had nothing to do with Ken. She had been involved with another man, chasing money, and died in a tragic abortion. Prince apologized for everything, for the lies, for the hurt, for using Uwizie to get revenge. Uwizie was silent. Her tears said everything. Ken forgave him, and for the first time there was peace between the three. But fate had one more test. Ken's mother came to visit and found Uwizie in the house. Furious, she shouted at her to leave. Uwizie didn't argue. She simply bowed her head, walked to her room, and stayed silent. Days later, the same woman returned, calmer this time, asking if Uwizie truly loved her son. Uwizie said yes, that she loved him more than anything. As they spoke, Uwizie suddenly ran to the bathroom and began to throw up. Ken's mother rushed to her side. Then it hit her. Uwizie was pregnant. Tears filled her eyes. The curse she believed in was a lie. She hugged Uwizie tightly, calling her a blessing. She began to treat her like a daughter, cooking for her, caring for her, and finally accepting her as family. And for the first time, Uwizie's heart felt light.